Hey, it's me. Let's talk about von Willebrand factor and von Willebrand disease. It's a term that we hear quite a lot as nurses. It's kind of a rare form of genetic haemophilia. It's not the same as haemophilia A or B. It comes down to this factor, a big glycoprotein that's made on the inside of blood vessels and by the precursor cells that will eventually become known as platelets. So when platelets are born, they're born as like a great big white cell called a megakaryoblast, and they break up into little pieces. And in that megakaryoblast, there's also the release of the glycoprotein called von Willebrand factor. So we've got this von Willebrand factor. Now, what it does is that it allows platelets to stick to the inside of a blood vessel wall when it's been attracted by an injury to the blood vessel wall. So let's say I cut myself and I've got an injury to the inside of my blood vessel wall. I've exposed some of that collagen, and so von Willebrand factor allows the platelets to kind of be glued to that injury so that they can start to clog up the hole, right? Plug up the hole to stop your bleeding. Von Willebrand factor. Think of it as the Velcro in between the blood vessel wall and the platelets themselves while they're trying to form a clot. So if you were born with a genetic abnormality and you don't make enough von Willebrand factor, type 3, or type 1, or your von Willebrand factor that you make is dysfunctional, and that's called type 2 von Willebrand disease, then what happens is your von Willebrand factor is not functioning properly, and because it doesn't function, then of course you can bleed. So if you cut yourself, nick yourself, brush your teeth too hard, lots of bleeding can occur. So there it is. Von Willebrand factor and von Willebrand disease. 3 different types: type 1, type 2, type 3. Type 1, not quite enough von Willebrand factor is made. Type 2, the von Willebrand factor that you do make isn't working. It's kind of like it's broken. It's a dysfunctional protein. And type 3, you just don't make any von Willebrand factor. It has another job too. And the other job of von Willebrand factor is, so it sort of comes back to that coagulation. You know, we've got lots of coagulation proteins in your blood, and one of them is called factor 8. And factor 8, when it's floating around inside your bloodstream, is really delicate. It gets sort of broken down by enzymes in the blood, meaning the factor 8 that you've got in your blood is fragile, yeah? If you can imagine, I could wrap that factor 8 up in a protective protein to protect your factor 8, then your factor 8 lasts longer. And that's what von Willebrand factor also does. So when it's floating along in the blood, the von Willebrand factor acts like a protective coating for your factor 8. Von Willebrand factor. A whole lot of maybe useful or useless information that you probably didn't want to know but were a little bit curious about. There it is.